We're back on another episode of TT Plays. My name's Sung Soo, and today, well, we've got another gameplay video. We've the second game of Water Arisanna versus Water Toni. Toni took down game one, so let's see if Arisanna can find enough cosmic bolts to bolt down this thick boy. So people always ask me, why are you still playing Arisanna? And to be honest, I have this weird snowflake desire, like so many other people do, to find something kind of off meta. I acknowledge that the meta is really good and healthy. We have a couple different decks vying, right? We basically have Pick Your Color Ally, Luxem Xander, and Erupting as what I think are very competitive decks right now, but I'd love to do it with something else, and I think the Arisanna stall calling mechanic is absolutely busted. It just might not have all the cards yet. So we start off Spirit of Water, Foraging Servant. I don't love the Servant. Obviously, I've said this a few times. It's still in the deck just because we're testing it. It needs to come out of the deck. We can find a better card. My main concerns with it are Lorraine kills it and draws a card. It doesn't remove an ally. I don't have enough other allies in the deck to threaten removing an ally with it. And it's permissive float and our opponent has to kill it. And more often than not, they just choose to ignore it. So Tonoris plays out a Diver here. Obviously, the 4-cost not banishing a card Diver feels bad, but I don't know what's in Toni's hand and it's what they present to open with. They also go ahead and manifest their Scepter, which is the benefit of going second in the Water Mirror here. So they have their Scepter out first. The Scepter is played all game in round 1. Let's see if we find Fracturizes here in game 2. I don't think I can afford the materialization off to grab a Scepter before going up, so I'll forsake the 4 damage to get to Arisanna. We generate some herbs, and we turn on that class bonus float from Foraging Servant if we can only get it into the graveyard. We end up playing out our Fracturize, getting ourselves a normal float, which we immediately utilize to materialize our own Scepter. The Foraging Servant comes in for 1, which I guess technically is impactful, and we attempt to pass the turn here. Again, the Scepters lived all through game 1, but this game that is decidedly not so, as Tonoris also has a Fracturize. I don't actually have a way to protect the Scepter. Me holding up 3 cards wasn't enough to scare them off. Tonoris goes up to level 1, he gains Taunt, and of course is already at 20 hit points. This Diver is going to crush in for 2, and I'm really wondering why I have this Servant in my deck. He runs out a Snow Fairy though, and he targets the Foraging Servant. So that Servant is now also not untapping. So how impactful is that? Well, not very, but it's just really rubbing it in that I should not be playing this Servant. But that's okay. We're going to go up to Arisanna level 2 here. We get a 1 and a 3 herb. The 1-2 herbs each gain you a level. 3-4 each get you a recover. 5-6 allows you to put a card on bottom and draw another card. One of the advantages of having that Fantasia, the Fractal from the Scepter, is we get to fully control Dungeon Guide. We can use the Fractal for 1 of the cost, put 2 cards down, and we know exactly what 2 cards we're banishing, and we're going up to Arisanna level 3, which is obviously what the deck's doing, right? We're stalling to get to level 3 here. Toni thinks about a GCR, decides they instead like a Bulwark Sword, and that means the pain's coming because we don't really have a way to interact with that this turn. We kind of rush to level 3. We're only at 5 damage though, so we can afford to take a little bit this turn. I'm just not expecting as much damage as what ends up coming in. So the 3 on the board is fine. That's kind of obvious, but the heavy swing combined with the Bulwark is just a lot. The class bonus reallys make these cards shine. Heavy swing becomes a 4 for 6. We tack the Bulwark in, and then it's 6 for 9 damage, which is just really unfriendly for our poor cleric that only has 25 health at level 3 here. Now, we don't have something down. We'd love to grab an Astrolabe, so we grab the next best thing, which is a Necklace of Foresight. A one-time glimpse 4 for free, basically, is fantastic. And the Astrolabe is always a little worrisome in the Water Mirror. And another thing that kind of knocks Arisanna is like, the Astrolabe gets fracturized, we're not in a good spot. We end up sacrificing a couple herbs to get out our Potion of Healing via the brew. One of the great things about this card is it's only 2 herbs to brew it. We send over the Dungeon Guide, we pass the turn. Why aren't we glimpsing at our turn? Well, I'm going to glimpse in my opponent's turn just in case they misplay and put an ally down before attacking us. And if we get lucky and hit the Comet Fall, it might save us just a little bit of damage. Toni ends up going up to level 2, which means attacks this turn are coming in for +3 more from Toni himself, and gives him an even bigger hit point pool at this point. We need to do 22 points of damage, which is quite a lot here. The diver comes over and we have to make a decision here. We'll obviously look at the necklace. Let's see what we find here. Glimpse 4 is powerful. We've got a couple different options, but we end up hitting what we want, which is the Comet Fall. So the Comet Fall hits all non-Astra units, which will kill our Dungeon Guide and our Foraging Servant. So we did it. We got the float in the bin. We're going to be able to use that to grab the Astrolabe next turn. Maybe I've been too hard on that card all along. I don't know. So the Bulwark Sword comes in for 6 here, 3 for the Toni level up, 1 additional for the class bonus, 2 base. So that's quite mean for just 2 cards in memory there. We go ahead, use the float for the Astrolabe, move to our turn. We don't have a ton to do here. We have a couple different decisions, but we just ship it back, and a Viridian Protective Trinket comes out from Tonoris. So this hurts us more early. Late game, I'm pretty much just glimpsing and trying to use Resolutes and Potions to heal up. The Sea Sprite Diver here is going to get the Banish, and it's only coming in. Yeah, so we're going to banish this Comet Fall. It doesn't really matter. And in response to the swing, I'm going to go ahead and glimpse. We see a Cosmic Bolt, so we'll start chipping away at this Toni a little bit more. They're up to 11, but we know they can go ahead and get themselves all the way up to 30. So I sacrifice just the herb to stay at 24, and the reason I do this is I want to be able to grab the Chalice of Blood and sack it. This old Rise staple, when you're over 20 damage, you're able to utilize this to draw 2 cards. So again, that's why we didn't use the Potion of Healing there. We then just draw for our turn, and now we start having some options here. We have a significant card advantage on the Toni, and the Toni's really only going to be able to present 1 threat per turn for us. So when I say Arisanna is stabilized, this is normally kind of the board state that we're looking for. Our life is still a little bit precarious, but we kind of know what's expected. We have some interaction to deal with it. We have Recover built onto the board here. Paladin, trigger, we get to remove an ally from the board, and if we get to untap or ready this Paladin, that'll be huge. The Intercept, again, we're only expecting Toni to be able to play 1, maybe 2 threats a turn. Being able to jump in front of one of those is huge. The GCR comes out for Toni. They move through Recollect. They draw for turn. And now they actually have a lot of cards in their hand. We could realistically see 2 threats this turn. So maybe I shouldn't have swung down. But again, I needed to kill that diver to save myself hit points, preventing me from using the potion. The Snow Fairy comes down, targeting our Frostborn Paladin, and then declares itself attacking. We spin the Astrolabe, we miss, we put all 3 on bottom. We end up popping the potion to stay alive. The Fairy punches us back up to 20. The Paladin is not going to ready up, so all of our hopes and dreams of intercepting have been frozen in place. We grab our own GCR here. We're going to think about glimpsing and Recollect, but we don't. We just pass through Recollect, draw for turn. We're going to Scry the Skies here. Again, we always love glimpsing. It's kind of what the deck is built on. The Star Calling Messianic just screams value to me. We don't hit a Star Call there, but we do get to put a card back on top. We have a few different lines here. We have that Resolute stand, which are obviously saving for the 1, 2, 3 ally turn from Toni. Again, Toni's drawn up a couple hands here, but we'll just play out this potion. Gives us 6 recover on board again, and we'll pass it back over. So we have the Resolute stand in hand. We have 1 resource with the Fractal, and we have the Astrolabe, obviously. Toni grabs the Ornamental Greatsword, which again, for 1 materialization, represents 2 points of damage here. This Dream Fairy is trying to come in for 2, and let's go ahead and spin. Let's see what we see here. Again, we're waiting for our glimpses for their turn for this here, right? Do we hit a Comet Fall? Are we able to stop some damage there? So we stop some damage, we get a little bit more on Toni, and the kill is looking a little more realistic. We'll just take 1 off this Great Fall instead of 2. They play a Lurking Assailant. We'll take 2 more from the Lurking, but we're not dead yet, as they say. And I'll go ahead and just pop this potion just to give myself some breathing room here. There's no reason for me to continue maintaining my life over 20. Now, the materialization impact of the deck is starting to decrease here. I like Ingredient Pouch, but it's definitely not great. The main reason I'm getting potions on the board is to use them for ulterior cost of brews. So I'm able to brew and still hold cards up in my hand as we kind of continue to dig through our deck. Astrocyte, I'm not sure if I want to leave it on top or bottom yet. There's a lot of decisions when we're glimpsing. Obviously, the easy decisions when you find the star call. It's a little harder when we don't. We go ahead, we end up grabbing a Harvest Herbs blind off the top with it, which is fine. I've liked Harvest Herbs quite a bit. I like it in the early game. Obviously, the class bonus makes it a little sad. We're not able to use that till we're going from level 1 to 2, but getting an herb on the field, especially with as many potions was running, has proven impactful. And again, right now we have 2 recover on the field because we do grab another 3 herb here. We play with the paladin who eats the float. We grab it. He's thinking about interacting, and here we have a misplay. He plays a hypothermia in response to me attacking with the paladin, so he would be rested, but hypothermia is slow. This is Nigel's first time testing this deck, and I just wasn't paying enough attention, so big misplay there, letting hypothermia resolve at fast speed. We didn't catch it till honestly I was editing this video, so hey, there's a benefit. We're getting better testing because I'm trying to make YouTube videos. We do get the glimpse here. We find the Cosmic Bolt, and now Toni's life is getting to the point where Toni is starting to be concerned. We do end up taking some from the lurking here, but I decide to Resolute instead. So this is a time to Resolute where he has enough cards in hand. I know I'm going to get something else. So we're going to stop 6 damage with this Resolute. I also still have 2 cards in my hand by paying the alternate cast of this, so I can survive a Frostbind if he tries to punch through here. So the Resolute resolves, and the Tonoris player has an interesting decision. Do they flood the board with allies, hope I don't see a Comet fall, but set themselves up for a big turn next turn? Or do they try to protect themselves because they only have 4 hit points left, right? So they're dead to a Cosmic Bolt, a Comet Fall, and they've seen me play Paladin, so they know allies are in the deck, albeit it's unlikely I'll swing for 4 off of allies. They decide to Dungeon Guide, using the Fractal for perfect control here again. Puts them up to level 30, so there'll be some tokens to apply a little bit of pressure. The big thing is the 30 hit points off of Tonoris Genesis Aegis. And we've gotta, this is the hardest thing for Arisanna. We've got to punch through all of them. The only thing worse than Tonoris for Arisanna is honestly Luxem Xander, and that's almost unwinnable. Them recovering every turn is just absolutely brutal. The Resolute Stand is on top of my deck to mark I don't draw. I realize it's not tournament legal. I'll probably need a token or something when I go to a tournament or use a die. So I should break that habit in testing, because the habits you make in testing are what you take forward with you when you do start traveling for events here. So a couple different options here. Counting, just verifying I know how many Cosmic Bolts we have. We have to punch 9 through here. We're going to go ahead and glimpse now. And we do find the Astrocyte. Perfect. We'll just dig a little bit deeper. Astrocyte also draws us a card. No complaints off that. We see a potion. We grab the potion, and we end up using the alternate brew, right? We've got the ingredient pouch out. We've been harvesting herbs. We even had that foraging servant. And again, the reason why is we want to be able to cast these potions easily when we can and maintain our hand size. This gives us a glimpse 3 and a draw card. Off this glimpse, we have a couple different options here. I'm thinking for a little bit, and then I realize I just have the lethal, just a little bit slow on the uptick. Nope, not the Comet Fall. We think about it. There we go. The Cosmic Bolt crushes in for 8. We finish resolving the potion, which of course draws into memory here. Toni goes to 29, and we have a Paladin in hand to present the lethal. Toni, in a cheeky play, response to the attack is not a hypothermia, it's a shield. Why? Well, they wanted to do something. Storm of Thorns prevents 1 of the damage and bounces 1 back to the unit, but Arisanna takes it down over Toni. The series is tied 1-1 as we head into game 3. Toni's going to have choice. Can Arisanna pull it off? Or will Toni crush her under the feet of a heavy swing? So I hope you enjoy the videos. I do appreciate each and every one of you for watching. I'm open to any criticisms, comments, or concerns. We've got some royalty-free lo-fi in the background, so you don't have to listen to dead space when I choose not to talk. We're just displaying the last card played, and the gameplay itself is coming back at 1.5 speed. So if you like the videos, I hate doing this, give me a like, give me a subscribe, let me know this is the content you want to watch. And until next time, everyone, cheers and happy gaming.